Dumbass.
I thought it would be like muttered under the breath. Oh, God. Folks, the voting begins. The attempt to make Gymnasium Jordan the House Speaker. How's it going so far? Not good. Not good at all for the Republicans. I mean, here we go. Average House Speaker vote under a Republican majority. 200 votes for Jim Jordan, 212 for Hakeem Jeffries, and 20 for other. Aren't they all rapers? Yes, they're all rapers over there in the GOP, but not all of them as evidently so. How much do they need again? 217. Stephen Scalise, not able to get the support that he needed. Jim Jordan has been fully endorsed by Donald Trump. Jim Jordan is not somebody who we want as House Speaker. He is very bad. So let's see how it's going.
Rise today. Mr. Speaker Pro Temp, Madam Clerk, colleagues, on behalf of the House Republican Conference, I rise today to nominate the gentleman from Ohio, Jim Jordan, as Speaker of the People's House.
Is he worse than McCarthy? Yes, significantly. Ooh.
We are at a time of great crisis across America, a time of historic challenges in this very chamber, and a time when heinous acts of terror and evil have been committed against our great ally, Israel.
I was listening to Pod Save America and their libs. Why are you listening to Pod Save America? They were just calling Jordan a Nazi. I am fully in favor of liberals hyperbolically calling the GOP Nazis. Honestly, Jim Jordan is really bad. So like, whatever, you know? Jim Jordan is really bad. He's the, listen, okay? He's a Nazi of raping college students in gymnasium locker rooms, right? He's the Nazis of blitzkrieging something sexual predator. Sexual predator Jim Jordan. Gymnasium Jordan rapist Jim Jordan.
This body convenes for the sacred responsibility to elect
every one of my brain cells firing on all cylinders.
I am reminded of the Book of Esther. For such a time.
Yeah, the Hitler of is truly
is this. Jim Jordan will be America's Speaker for such a time as this.
Great.
Chair, conservative leader or representative for his constituents in West Central Ohio, whether on the wrestling mat or in the committee room, Jim Jordan is strategic, scrappy.
Whether on the wrestling mat or the committee room, Jim Jordan is ready to pound his opposition into the ground. Why would you say that? Jim Jordan is ready to hold you down. Jesus, he's ready to pounce.
Tough and principled, he is a mentor, a worker, and above all, he is a fighter. And the American people know, we know, that Jim Jordan is a winner on behalf of the American people.
Yeah, none of those students ever raped him. It's so grim.
Respect for this institution. As chairman of the Democratic Caucus, I am directed by the vote of that caucus to present for election to the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives the name of the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, the pride of Crown Heights, a representative from the state of New York.
Oh yeah, I don't think I pointed this out, by the way, but Jim Jordan isn't just a monster and a so to be clear, we're being hyperbolic here. It's not, he didn't personally rape those students that we know of. He like covered it up and ignored reports of it. Like he wasn't the rapist, he was more of a rape master, or like a steward, if you would. Sort of a secretary, administrator. Yeah. Coach of perhaps. You know, like how a coach doesn't actually play the field, but like directs everything. Yeah, he was a true coach to his people. That's right. Anyway, in addition to all of that, which is a lot, all of that is already a lot. In his entire time in the House of Representatives, he has not sponsored and won a single bill. He's never put forward a bill that is won. Like he is not just terrible. He's also just not an effective politician. Then why fear him? Because his effectiveness as a legislator might not necessarily mean he wouldn't be destructive as a House Speaker. It would mean that he would hold funding the government contingent on really bad votes. Basically, Jim Jordan will almost certainly say, oh, you want to fund the government? You want to keep the government shutdown from happening? Okay, sure, we'll go along with this, but only if you vote to ban all gay people. And then, like, that would be, like, the level of discourse. Yeah, he's an arsonist, basically. Like, he's not effective or smart, but he is destructive. It's also very possible that him becoming House leader would actually galvanize the American public even further against the GOP, so maybe in, like, a very destructive accelerationist way, it might be beneficial, but... Scroll down to pressuring witnesses for Jim Jordan. He literally cried to witnesses and begged them not to come forward in tears. Holy shit, really? I'm not seeing the key words here. Oh. Adam DiSabato, the brother of the first wrestler who came forward, said Jordan had begged him to contradict his brother's claims. Quote, Jim Jordan called me crying, groveling, on the 4th of July, begging me to go against my brother, DiSabato said. Begging me, crying for half an hour. That's the kind of cover-up that's going on here. Okay, so his strategy for being co-rapist was begging people to lie and contradict the testimony of their own siblings to cover up the rape that he had overseen. Yeah, that's the kind of guy we're dealing with here.
It's something that none of us imagined when we were sworn in to this office. We are here because the House has been thrown into chaos. We are here because this hallowed chamber has been led to a breaking point by two dangerous forces: extremism.
Isn't that witness tampering? I don't really know the legal details, but I think that if you oversee a bunch of and cover up for it, and then when the truth comes out, you start begging people to lie on the stand to contradict the testimony of the people who have been, I think that should be a crime. I don't know what crime exactly. Is it witness tampering? I don't know. I just know it's a moral crime. I think he should be in jail. I don't care. I think he should be.
And partisanship. The American people place their faith in us to tackle their most pressing issues: lowering costs, growing the middle class, and standing up to those set on delivering a national abortion ban. The choice before us is simple.
The Ohio State University sexual assault case is so bad, even the Supreme Court is allowing the case to move forward. Wait, holy shit. It's so bad that even the current conservative-packed Supreme Court rebuffs the Ohio State University's attempt to thwart the suit. So, like, even with the 6 conservatives, and knowing that this ties in Jim Jordan, a Republican House rep, they're like, yeah, this is pretty bad. You got to go forward with it. Yet, what the 2019 report detailing investigative findings said Strauss had sexually abused at least 177 men, nearly all of whom were students, and that university staff who knew of the abuse failed to act. University staff. Who could this be referring to? Ohio State told the Supreme Court in its appeal that allowing the lawsuits to proceed based on the Sixth Circuit ruling would mean, quote, there is essentially no limit on the stale claims that could be brought. No! Don't follow the law. We could be sued an infinite number of times for the infinite harm we've committed. The University of Michigan in 2022 finalized a $500 million sentiment with more than 1,000 people who allege sexual assault by a former sports doctor. $250 million from UCLA. God damn. You'd think universities would really start taking this seriously with a legal precedent of losing hundreds of millions of dollars to, like, covering up one single guy who really wants to fondle, like, students, you know? If you know for a fact that there is legal precedent where the university has been charged hundreds of millions in settlement, you really think there would be more of an impetus to shut these people down. Nah, sports. It's almost always like the sports people or something associated with the sports people. It's just a monstrous industry. Whatever. We're getting distracted. We're getting lost down the rabbit hole of how bad of a person Jim Jordan is.
Together on a bipartisan path forward, or take us over the cliff. A vote today to make the architect of a nationwide abortion ban a vocal election denier and an insurrection insider to the Speaker of this House would be a terrible message to the country and our allies.
Yeah, Jim Jordan also voted for the insurrection to repeal the electoral count, and his main thing is banning all abortion. So,
Mr. Speaker, it would send an even more troubling message to our enemies that the very people who would seek to undermine democracy are rewarded with positions of immense power. We're talking about someone who has spent his entire career trying to hold our country back, putting our national security in danger, attempting government shutdown after government shutdown, wasting taxpayer dollars on baseless investigations with dead ends, authoring the very bill that would ban abortion nationwide without exceptions, and inciting violence on this chamber. Even leaders of his own party have called him a legislative terrorist. He once said, quote, "I didn't come to Congress to make more laws." His words speak for themselves.
What?
When New Yorkers recovering from Hurricane Sandy...
Wait, he said that? What? I didn't come to Washington to do my job. What? That's you're in the legislative branch. That is the thing you do. That's your job. What?
Needed Congress to act, he said no. When wildfires ravaged the West, destroying homes and businesses, and those residents needed disaster assistance, he said no. When the Mississippi River floods devastated the South and communities across state lines needed Congress to act, he said no. When our veterans were suffering from disease and dying.
When students under his care were being sexually assaulted, and the investigators asked him if he had seen any evidence of this happening, he said no.
As a result of their service to our country, and Congress passed a bipartisan solution, he said no. When our ally in Ukraine looked to Congress for additional support to help defeat Putin, he said no. And just before Hamas's brutal terrorist attack on Israel...
It says right here that they're not going to mention the sexual abuse shit, and that's such a waste. That's such a waste, dude.
He said no to fully funding military aid for our ally. This body is debating elevating a speaker nominee who has not passed a single bill in 16 years.
Incredible.
These are not the actions of someone interested in governing or bettering the lives of everyday Americans. This is nothing less than the rejection of the oath that we swore to uphold as duly elected members of this body. But on this side of the aisle and throughout this chamber, I'm convinced our oath still matters.
Incredible stuff. Hakeem Jeffries, obviously, like, I wonder why they're not having him do the speaking here. Are you not supposed to speak on your own behalf, I guess? Like, it's considered kind of crass to say, like, I am Hakeem Jeffries, I nominate myself, and here's all the reasons why I'm cool, or whatever. Yeah. I don't like this guy's speaking style very much. I feel like I've heard him speak before, and I've felt this way before. He reminds me a little bit... Does anyone else... Am I totally off base, or does anyone else feel like there's a tiny hint of Cuomo coming out here? Like, just a very slight... I don't know if it's like the inflection, or if it's like the way he talks. There's... You know what I mean?
He may just be the candidate with the most votes, but he is also the candidate
just a little, not
with
a huge
the most
amount.
Credibility. If the goal is to continue a 30-year march to hollow out our democratic institutions, weaken our democracy, and embolden extremists, there's a candidate for you.
It's the hairline. It might actually be the hairline.
Taking marching orders from a twice-impeached former president with more than 90 pending felony charges, then there is a candidate for you. The world is watching, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Our allies in Ukraine and Israel are watching and waiting. So let's have this vote, but let's be clear. A vote for the gentleman from Ohio is a vote to turn your back on national security. It's a vote to turn your back on a bipartisan path to fund the government and avoid shutdowns, something we can only do if we reject.
Wow, kind of crazy how boring liberals are, huh? All right, moving on. Bacon votes for McCarthy, the first Republican not to vote for Jordan. Damn, it only took the 8th Republican casting their vote to not vote for Jordan?
Bacon.
Bacon.
McCarthy. Bacon. McCarthy.
Bacon.
Bacon.
Bacon? Bacon. Fox calling Bacon a dumbass. Ha!
Bacon. McCarthy.
Dumbass.
I thought it would be like muttered under the breath. Oh, God. Yeah, that was a hot mic. Oh, my God. Play it again. One more time.
Bacon. McCarthy.
Dumbass.
Bacon.
Oh, my oh. Oh, goddamn. Oh, my God. Yeah, he didn't just say that into the hot mic. He declared that shit. He enunciated.
Sean. Jordan. Buck. Bouchon.
That just didn't vote. Okay.
Reamer. McCarthy.
Man, even this early on, it's pretty much neck and neck for Jordan and Jeffries.
Connolly. Jeffries.
They mad. He said, noted insurrectionist. I'm voting for Hakeem Jeffries. And the GOP got mad.
Zito. D'Esposito. Zelton.
What? Yeah, they're like... Ronald McDonald. What?
Diaz-Balart.
By this point, Jeffries is 8 points ahead. It's a circus. Whom's to Zeldin? Just another person to vote for. Just another member of the House.
Scalise.
And in a row? 2 in a row? Yeah, you don't even have to be in the House to be voted for. Technically, you can vote for any US citizen. You can vote for anyone. Like you could vote for me. You that is allowed. You could do that.
Elsie. Garcia.
A Republican votes for someone named Garcia. Who? There's no one named Garcia in the House. Who? Is that a person? Is that a dog? Just anyone named Garcia? Maybe? Who? Just someone? Just any Garcia. I'm voting for Garcia. And with this, with 5 GOP votes going to non-Jim Jordan candidates, at this point, Jim Jordan could not win this round. Can't they just abstain? They could.
Zeldin. Garbarino. Zeldin.
Samus Aran. Mario.
Jeffries.
Jeffries votes for Jeffries. Considering the fact that this is already like an incomprehensible shit show, I genuinely wish, because this sounds stupid, and it is, but it could happen, Donald Trump would just bust open the double doors in the back and announce his own nomination, and he would probably get like half of the remaining votes from the GOP. Have him do that mid-vote, just as a dark horse, turnaround midway.
Jordan.
Jim Jordan votes for Jim Jordan.
Jordan.
Just...
Virginia. Kiggins of Virginia. McCarthy.
The McCarthy votes are especially cucked. McCarthy has already said he's not running again. Hasn't Jordan already failed? Yeah, but they still have to collect all the votes.
La Lota. Zeldin.
McCarthy votes for Jordan to get some applause for it.
McCarthy. Jordan.
Unity! Cuck.
Jeffries.
Thanks, Pelosi. Why don't all the Dems simply vote for Garcia? Oh yeah, true. Or this Lee Zeldin character. McCarthy blamed Jordan losing the vote on Democrats. Well, as we know, McCarthy will blame the Democrats for literally anything that happens, including stuff that he did directly.
Let's go back to how it got here. We wouldn't be here if every single Democrat didn't vote with 8 Republicans to shut this
Mad.
down.
He's mad. He's sorry that you had the shortest term of any House Speaker ever, dipshit. Sorry. It is so crazy how this guy would still be House Speaker if he wasn't a complete bullshitter. Remember, right before the vote that was initiated by Matt Gaetz to kick him out, there were Democrat whips that were running around with videos of him on Fox blaming Democrats for the government shutdown. Like, even though Republicans objectively had been the obstructionist ones here, McCarthy was on Fox saying, like, yeah, Democrats f***ed this up, and they were showing Dems videos of that to get them mad. If it wasn't for this guy being a Weasley liar, he probably would still be House Speaker.
That's it. No, Republicans voted against Jim Jordan today on the floor, including 2 votes from somebody who's not even a member anymore.
Fox News has already stopped airing live coverage of the House floor vote with Jim Jordan facing 13 no votes from Republicans. They stopped airing it? Literally this image. Literally this image. Because it makes them look like clowns. Oh my God.
Waters. Jeffries.
I really wish they would call Jim Jordan a rapist more. Like, Jim Jordan is an insurrectionist, but holy shit, he's implicated in one of the biggest, like, university sexual scandals ever. You know? He's directly implicated, like, in an objective and obvious way.
That the total number, the tellers agree in their tallies, of which the Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 200 votes. The Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212 votes.
Morally, I agree with you, but legally, this could be taken for slander. Then call him like a lover. Call him the coach. Like, that's what we were doing.
The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 6 votes. Lee Zeldin of the state of New York has received 3. The Honorable Steve Scalise of the state of Louisiana has received 7. The Honorable Mike Garcia of the state of California has received 1. The Honorable Tom Emmer of the state of Minnesota has received 1. The Honorable Tom Cole of the state of Oklahoma has received 1. The Honorable Thomas Massey of the state of Kentucky has received 1.
Oh, did I miss the Garcia? I must have missed it. I was looking at chat.
No person having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a speaker has not been elected. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess subject to the call of the chair.
I don't know if I can say Aaron Rupar is like, great, but I do love his Twitter threads. Aaron Rupar was doing some weird Zionist shit a little bit ago. Yeah, it might turn out like the Kevin McCarthy shit, where they have like 15 votes and eventually they manage to persuade everyone to vote for Jim Jordan. I don't know whether or not they're actually going to get Jim Jordan in or whether they're going to have to switch to somebody else, you know? Keep in mind that the government shutdown is looming, so whatever happens, it's got to happen quick. Fox News and Sean Hannity have been caught conspiring to make Jim Jordan speaker, sending emails to Republican representatives that feel a lot like extortion. Hello, Stephanie from The Hannity Show with Fox News. Sources tell Hannity and Representative XXX is not supporting Jim Jordan for Speaker. Can you please let me know if this is accurate? And if true, Hannity would like to know why, during a war breaking out between Israel and Hamas, yeah right, with the war in Ukraine, the wide open borders, with a budget that's unfinished, why would your representative be against Jim Jordan for Speaker? Please let us know when your representative plans on opening the People's House so work can be done. Lastly, are there any conditions your representative will choose to work with Democrats in the process electing a speaker? Da, da, da. This is pretty standard. This isn't extortionate. This is pretty standard. Things get pretty nasty behind the scenes. Do you think Dems might get some concessions? I don't think so. I just think that Republicans are going to keep smashing their head against a wall. When is government shutdown? Isn't it in like early November? They passed the 45-day stop from October 1st, so it would be November 14th, right? Thereabouts? Yeah, about there. Yeah, about there. Do you think any Republicans will flip to Hakeem Jeffries? No. That'd be pretty extraordinary. I don't think so. I didn't know you use Blundervosh. I don't use it well. Is there a limit to how long/how many times they can try to get a speaker? Nope. Can go on forever. Some Republican leaders have threatened to do deals with Dems if the radicals don't stop. Yeah, but that might just be rhetoric. I'm pretty sure that if any Republicans actually switched over and voted for Hakeem Jeffries, they would be like jihaded by right-wing militants like that day. MAGA Republicans have been insanely militant against rhinos for a long time now, but a Republican voting for Hakeem Jeffries would be what in their mind like an unrivaled betrayal. Like that would be so much worse than anything, like that'd be so bad, you know? Will they vote present, which could lower the threshold for Jeffries? I mean, that's a little more likely, but Who's the funniest legal possibility for speaker? Well, basically anyone can be speaker, so just think of the funniest person you can imagine, basically. Getting Jeffries in would be incredibly funny, but it's not going to happen. Apparently some Democrat, I don't even know who, maybe this is fake news, I don't care. Apparently some Democrats suggested offhandedly bringing in George W. Bush as a unity House Speaker, which would be so funny. That actually wouldn't be that bad. Bush is like to the left of basically every Republican now. Like modern Republicans have shifted so far to the right that Bush actually would be in the center between the GOP and the Dems, which is pretty sad actually. It's not going to happen, but you know, it's just funny. Someone suggested it. Bush sweep. There we go. Unanimously elected speaker. Finally, it's his turn.